This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family was popping. It's your boy. Oh wait, no, I'm not. I'm not supposed to do that. My bad. Anyway, shout out to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. This is NBK, the post game. Obviously, you see Mr. Simeon Russell is not here at the moment, but we are graciously filling in for him and trying to get the show going. We got some stuff to talk about, man. This was one of them nights. So I'm joined by my co-host John, my brother in arms and still Knicks fans, and the one and only, the queen herself, Miss Stephanie. Dope Soul Sports in the house, folks.
Appreciate you.
What's going on,
Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
We.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we all shell shocked right now. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What's happened?
Yeah. This was kind of tough. This was kind of tough. But you know what? We look at it like you want to just think that things are going to be easy, but the Knicks just have to give you some adversity. So it is what it is. We went up 3-2 thinking, okay, we get a closeout game, nice and easy, finally get some good rest. They don't have to play again until Wednesday when the ECF starts.
Right.
But no, they can't make it easy. So it is what it is. So just pull the Band-Aid off. Steph, what's your thoughts about what you witnessed tonight, man?
You know what? It started early in the first quarter. I think the second chance opportunities. That's it. They're not a great rebounding team. I don't even think they're a good rebounding team. You can't give them second and third opportunities at the basket. And we did that all night, and it started in the first quarter. That was one issue. 2, Brunson has to have a great game for us to win. And that's just where we're built right now, given the injuries. I thought McBride was great in that first quarter and maybe even the first half, keeping us in it. But Brunson has to have a good game. We have to get secondary scoring off of Brunson when they double team him and get the ball out of his hands. And we can't give up second and third opportunities. We have to end those possessions with rebounds. And none of those 3 things. Well, we got scoring. We got other scoring, but Brunson and the rebounds, I think, killed us.
Yeah,
Not Brunson killed us, meaning him not playing at the level.
Right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. What's your thoughts, John, for what you saw, man?
Yeah, I agree with Steph. It really started with Brunson not getting to his game early. I think he was 2 for 9 or something like that to begin the game, and then sort of forcing the game. Not to mention throughout the game, we just missed a ton of free throws.
Yeah.
Momentum. We lost the momentum in multiple possessions where we could have had it, change it into our direction, and the ball bounced their way, and they made big shots. They made good open shots, and they kept attacking the rim. That's one thing that they kept doing to us. Not only did they out rebound us, but they outscored us in the paint. So that was huge. And yeah, with Art, dealing with whatever he was dealing with, seemed like he was hesitant to go to the basket. And so, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's tough. It was like an uphill battle all night. It started off nicely. I was actually feeling, kind of confident because I'm like, the Knicks are gonna have to deal with Indiana's like best shot to kind of see if they could put the screws to them early. And it looks like the Knicks took it, and no matter what they were doing, they were very close. And then at a certain point, the Knicks took the lead, and Indiana was still fighting. But I was like, you know what? I feel really good about this.
Right.
And somehow in between all of that, Josh Hart hurt himself, and he played through it, but he was never really the same after he did that. And then Jalen Brunson, it made me, I was actually feeling confident about that too. Jalen Brunson didn't have his shot, and we was still right there with them, either down or we was up at a certain point. And I was feeling good, but it was fleeting. It didn't last long. They finally got it going. And how did you feel about, because one of the things I was noticing, even whether it be Brunson in the game or when he was on the bench and Deuce and Burks was out there, I just felt like the offense was stagnant on both with both the bench and the starters. I didn't feel a lot of I don't feel like they had a lot of offensive flow. It moved a little better when Burks was out there, but I still didn't feel like anybody knew who was the go-to person or how they should be moving with the ball. What's your thoughts on that stuff?
Yeah, I would agree. There wasn't a lot of continuity. I was surprised that DiVincenzo was in double figures. It just seemed like, other than McBride, it just seemed like we just couldn't score. I mean, listen, Brunson has the ball in his hands a lot. He stirs the drink. But even then, he's pretty good, if there's a double team, finding the open guy, and we usually do a better job moving the ball to the open person. But yeah, I would I would agree with that. And then later we could talk about our defense, which was non-existent as well.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about that. There was a lot of stuff going on there. John, how did you feel about what you saw with the offense, and were you confident in what you were seeing from what Burks was doing out there?
Well, I think Burks gave us a little lift. He was getting to the line, which was super important in games like this. Again, it almost seemed like he was playing spot minutes and not really heavily leaned upon, so like play a heavy role. Because he kept going to Brunson, like he kept Brunson stepped out for a few minutes, and he brought back Brunson. And I don't know if that was the right thing to do. I did feel like Brunson not playing well offensively affected his defense.
Mhm.
And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But yeah, I think offensive flow wasn't where it needed to be. Outside of Deuce, if it wasn't for Deuce, we would have probably gotten blown out. I mean,
We did
we
earlier.
did, right? We
blown
were
out
we were
early.
down we was like down 20,
Yeah.
So it's interesting because we was in the
Yeah.
game, and then they went up 10, to end the half, and then coming out of the half, it just ballooned to 20, and so
Sorry, John. Go ahead.
no, you're good.
Yeah.
I didn't like
No.
the energy of the team. Like, I felt like just from the first quarter, before shots started falling, before we got the lead, they got the lead. Obviously they're desperate, right? This is a closeout game for them. So they're gonna have emotionally the edge. It's hard to simulate desperation. But I thought we would at least have played with a bit more urgency, and I didn't see that at all. Like, we weren't sharp, missing free throws, not getting rebounds, the defense not putting bodies on people, getting into people. And I saw that right off the bat, that the urgency, or what seemed to me, the urgency didn't seem to be there.
You know what
Yeah.
else I seen? I seen I seen a heavy dose of switching, where most of the
Mm.
time when they're on, so like really like you stated, like playing hard on defense, like really being mindful. They're calling things out, but they're also pushing over the screen.
Right.
And they're fighting
Mhm.
through those screens more often. I seen Hartenstein out at the 3-point line way too often, and then having a mismatch down low with Siakam or with Turner on the little guy. It's like you can't keep doing that. That's a recipe for disaster right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Um, We're going to talk about the defense in a little bit, but I wanted to ask you guys, how did you feel about going back to just offense? How did you feel about Dante DiVincenzo's usage? Because I think he started off the game. He might have missed his first two shots or whatever, and or maybe even three shots, and you just didn't know whether he was going to have a good game and get it going. But immediately after that, he started to knock down some stuff. So you started to feel okay, maybe he's got it going. And the Knicks really didn't do a good job, in my opinion, of getting him opportunities to be effective offensively. And then when he did get the ball, he forced the issue because I think we needed shots to get in, and I think he didn't necessarily take the best shots to help the team or to help himself because of the nature of what the game was doing. So what do you think about that, Steph? About how the Knicks used Dante in this game?
Um, to me, I think it was just more what we talked about a little earlier, the lack of continuity.
Hmm.
Because what would happen is the ball would just flow and it would just find him either open or it would find Hartenstein and he would cut back door. It just wasn't any continuity in the offense, and I think it may have been difficult for him to find his spots. He usually spots up, they find him, or he cuts back door, they find him. Um, the offense was, I don't know what you want to call it, but it wasn't running the way it usually runs. And I don't think he was able to get to his spots as often and in the flow of the offense as usual. Could they have run some plays? I don't know. The way this offense looked tonight, I mean, and give them some credit though. They were into us. They were up and into us. You saw that defensive intensity as well. So it wasn't easy for us to get to our spots offensively.
Yeah, agreed. John, your thoughts on that, and if you see it any differently with regards to Dante's usage, because I'm bringing up Dante one because I felt like out of everybody, I could kind of like I got that feeling like he might have the hot hand tonight. Like it was starting to develop. And I also felt like 2 games ago, they didn't really use him as efficiently as I thought they should have. So that's why I'm bringing him up as like an example of somebody that maybe I don't know how the Knicks would be able to feature him better, but just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Steph. It was based on continuity, and a lot of the times when the ball was in his possession, it was like the shot clock was against us throughout the entire game. Like we had trouble
Hmm.
bringing the ball up or just getting into our
Mm,
sets, and that's a recipe for disaster. Like I said earlier, it's like one of those things. It's like the game that we did win. We figured out ways to get to not have Brunson bring up the ball for
Right.
whatever reason. He just kept asking for the ball to be brought to him to bring it up the court. If it wasn't him, it was Deuce, and Deuce had also a hard time because they were, pressing him once he got over half court, and they were, forcing the issue, forcing him to make a play. And
right.
so we gotta be quicker within our sets. We gotta play a
Right.
little quicker, a little faster, more intentful in our decision making. Like specifically Brunson, like he can't be holding onto the ball that for that long of a period of time. And like I said, DiVincenzo didn't really have much of a choice other than to when he got the ball, try to make something happen.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah.
they gave it to the Pacers. They had a good scheme and they played well. They were up on us and it made it very difficult. And Turner was lurking the entire game. He was lurking. He was lurking on the traps. He was lurking on the full court, and he was looking for his blocks. And when they didn't get many, but he was there. He was a presence.
Yeah. It's true. That's a good point. And I think both of you are right in the fact that there's other things that kind of precipitated, Dante's usage. Um, One of those things. So I was actually watching the playback with Lawrence Tears and Uncle Freezy and the gang. And one of the things that two things that stood out. One of the things that was noticed was to your point what you were talking about them trying to make it very difficult for Brunson to bring the ball up the court. And
Right.
so there was a point where we even saw Josh Hart bringing the ball up the court. And I thought the Knicks were going to try to do that, but then they kind of went away from it. And then you saw Brunson doing it again. And so that leads to the other point that, maybe some people ain't going to like. Um, but Brunson didn't have a good game. Like Brunson
He
not
did.
only was shooting well, but his decision making wasn't the greatest. And there was a lot of the new term dribble, 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 dribble. Like, there was a lot of that going on with Brunson. And I don't know if someone didn't say it to him or if the coaching staff didn't realize what's happening because you're down in the game, right? And it's not like you're saying you want to, or unless that was the game plan. Unless the point was for him to dribble to slow down the pace so that you're not playing at India. I don't know. I don't know what it was,
Right.
but it was like too much of that. And the Knicks couldn't get into a semblance of offense. And by the time he, made his move, which they were making it very difficult for him to even turn the corner, now you're up against the shot clock. I'm surprised there was not. I didn't hear a lot of violations called, but that's how close it was all the time. They're scrambling at the very end. And then you couldn't really get into a sense of flow. He has to take the shot, which, by all intents and purposes, was not the greatest shots he was jacking up. So, what did you think about that, Steph? How, Brunson's ball handling, and
I,
you
I,
know,
I he didn't have his best game, but he got his shots and he got to the spots, and a lot of those shots fell short at the rim.
mhm,
I didn't. You know, it's gonna take more time if they're pressuring you, and they weren't just pressuring him; they was pressuring whoever he would have passed it to. They were up into us as well. But he didn't play well in the sense that he wasn't efficient. In the sense that his shots fell short. I expected him to be, a bit sharper. He missed a few free throws. I
mhm,
expected him to be sharper, but I don't really have a problem with Brunson having the ball in his hands and trying to make things happen. I think when you get down or you feel like the game is slipping away, that's what the best players on the team do. I've seen it. They try to go one on one and try to get their team back, to try to get their team back in the game. So and we've seen times when that worked, but tonight it just didn't. He needs to be sharper. He needs to be better, and he knows that. And the entire team. If you're not, you have to match their energy. If you're not going to match their energy, the game plan and all of this execution, that stuff is not going to really matter if you can't match the energy. That's first.
yeah, that's very true. John, I forgot which announcer said it. Maybe it was JJ Redick. But they were making a point to mention the fact that Indiana noticed the defensive assignments and people who did better against Brunson. Obviously, we know that that's like McConnell and Nesmith, but they were featuring and talking about Nesmith a lot. And it looked like this game in particular, Indiana made a concerted effort to kind of put Nesmith on him most of the time because they feel like that was a little bit more effective. How do you think that might have played a big role in why Brunson couldn't get, you know, going the way he would have, liked to get
Uh,
going?
I
I
think
don't think
Brunson
so.
was off. He cut him
Yeah,
up the game before. Like Brunson is just he just has to be better.
yeah,
Mm,
I'm
I
not saying
totally agree
Neesmith
with
is
that.
not playing good defense. Don't get me wrong. But this is not the first time he's seeing Neesmith. You know what I
And
mean?
in fact, I would say McConnell had made it tougher on Brunson this go round. You know what I mean? So if anything, it would have been McConnell over Neesmith. But it still came down to Brunson having a poor game. Not being sharp,
yeah.
not being effective, and where he wants to be effective. And he missed some layups, missed some easy, jump shots that he usually makes from the elbow. Um, I don't know. I think more importantly is the, the team that's on the court around them. Like they have to be ready. Specifically, Hart. I've seen a lot of passes to Hart wide open, and he wasn't willing to shoot the ball or drive to the basket or make a decision or make it a point to get into the middle of the court in order to make an outlet pass or a drive or a floater or something else. You know, it was almost like he was a factor more, like less on the defensive end because of his injury, but even more so on the offensive side, because it's like they just pretty much played off of him and said, "Hey, you either gonna shoot it or do whatever you want to do. We're gonna let you beat us," basically. And he couldn't do it today. So,
but not even that he couldn't do it. He didn't even look to do it. It's
he
like
didn't do
he
it. Yeah,
was on
exactly.
self-check. You know, it's like we don't even have to, worry about him. We don't have to rotate to him, and that makes the defense easier. And that makes it, you don't have to worry about Precious Achua. You
Right.
know what I mean? You
I-
got to worry about Brunson. You got to worry about Devo, McBride. Hart is not even iHeart, excuse me. It's
Yeah.
not even a scoring, center. You pretty much have to worry about him when he has the ball, like the cutters and things like that. But so yeah, I think we made it easy for them defensively.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the effort. I mean, effort was really big. You could just like, of course, Indiana's going to play with desperation. They're on the verge of elimination, but I was kind of surprised by that too, Steph. I'm not going to lie. I thought that at some point in the game, maybe not to start. Okay, we're up 3-2. You're taking their best shot. You're right there with them. You're within striking distance, either 4 points down or either even went leading in the game. So I felt like, okay, maybe they're resting on their laurels a little bit, not too crazy. But I thought for sure, at least when we got into the second half, I thought the Knicks' intensity was going to turn up.
Right.
And they were going to try to force the issue to put Indiana's back against the wall, make them start to get desperate. Okay, these guys are playing. We got to fight for everything, all the 50-50 balls and stuff.
Wow.
And a lot. Oh, jeez.
But they also didn't bounce our way. There were multiple times in the third quarter, actually, where we came out of the half where we were getting deflections after deflections after deflections. It just kept going into their hands, and then they'll knock down the shot.
Yeah.
And it's like it was almost deflating. Even when
It was.
Hart played good defense on a McConnell, and he was up on him, and McConnell will still get the score, or Neesmith or anyone will just hit a basket with good defense on him. It became more of a, psychologically they wasn't able to get over that. And then we started making mental mistakes, like turning over the ball and overpassing or trying to do too much,
Yes.
and that also affects you, because then at that point, when you're not playing within the offense, those turnovers turn into fast break points for the other team.
Yeah. And how about those second opportunities? Like you finally get a stop and you can't secure the rebound. And now and then they hit it. I'm like, if we can't secure a rebound, we're not going to be able to get back into this game. And every time they got an offensive rebound, because they were outworking us on the offensive boards. Somebody said in the chat they were nicking the Knicks. Whenever they got a second opportunity, it seemed like every time they hit the shot the second time around.
Yep. It's a very good point. And speaking of nicking the Knicks, like for and this happened. I don't know how many times it's happened in the series, but it definitely happened prior. This once again was one of those games, like one of the Knicks. We talk about it all the time. Their identity is defense and rebounding.
Right.
And once again in this game, the Knicks finished with 46 rebounds, and Indiana finished with 54. When you're not winning the rebounding battle, you're running into problems, especially when you're not. I'm sorry.
No, when you get a chance, just the second chance points differential.
Oh, yeah. Let me put this up so everybody can take a look. Let's share this. All right. Click over here. So second chance points was 22-21. Actually, closer than I thought. That's interesting. Fast break points was 8-8, but then look at this huge disparity. And goes back to them Indiana nicking the Knicks. The Knicks won the previous game by having this level of a disparity with points in the paint, and Indiana basically reversed it. They hit us with the Uno card, y'all.
Yeah.
62-38.
And you saw it in the first quarter. They was driving to the basket early in that first quarter. Um, they got they don't break the points in the paint down by quarters, but I could see they made a concerted effort to get in the paint in that first quarter.
Yep. Yep.
And they were feasting with Siakam down in the post. Like they were very intentional about getting him involved and
Right.
attacking Hart. And Hart, unfortunately came at injured today, and they just, like the effort that he would normally put in on the defensive side, he wasn't able to do just because he was dealing with some sort of abdominal pain, or it could have been gas. To be honest, I kept thinking, I'm like, is this gas? Like he can't get the gas out or something. Like it seemed weird. Like it was interesting.
When I saw, I didn't know what it was. I just thought, you know what? Since it's happened to me before when I was young playing ball, and when I jumped up for a rebound, I came down and I felt that type of pain. So I was like, well, maybe it's something like that. And then when they showed the actual later, when they showed the replay of when they think it happened, it looked like that might have been what happened. He reached up and probably just, strained something, or pulled something, whatever.
It was the
Shout out to the
Impossible Burgers that him and Brunson were feeding each other during the interview. I'm just saying.
That might have been it. That might have been it. Sorry about that. Let me see here. Shout out to the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. Please smash that like button, show your love for the show, and Mr. Simeon Russell and NBK. J Rack said, I had a bad feeling when I saw they showed up in all black, gave me flashbacks to the Celtics series. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I was feeling good about it. I was like, okay. I mean, they're serious. They mean business. They're going out here to get it done. But their outfits didn't exemplify their effort. They didn't come out with that same intensity of what they were wearing.
Right. I don't know what happened. Like, what did you expect? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get coming out flat in a potential in a closeout game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. So, this kind of leads into our defense, right?
Mm.
One thing that I noticed that I thought was a little interesting, maybe it's a minor adjustment, but it's definitely something in my mind, it looked like Indiana was trying to do on the offensive side. Rather than just settling for perimeter shots, we could already see the points in the paint. They were making a concerted effort to go inside. But the other thing they were doing is, Miles Turner usually stays on the perimeter. But now, as they saw that Siakam was adding pressure into the paint, and when the Knicks tried to send a double team because Josh Hart, who doesn't have the size to keep up with him, needed help, as soon as that double went over there, they were flashing Turner to the paint area and making it's almost like a layup for him if he gets that close to the rim and there's nobody to really affect him at that size. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was it was reminiscent of what the Knicks tried to do and did do in the last game. We made a concerted effort. It was pretty much led by Brunson, getting into the paint area, putting pressure on them and getting easy opportunities, and they just reversed it on us. It was crazy. But to point to the defense, the Knicks let it happen in the worst possible way. I mean, these guys were getting everything they wanted in the paint. And there was a lot of, as we were, I'm watching the game, there's a lot of openings, like people having straight lanes to the rim, people
Right.
missing assignments and being slow. Yeah. Well, what did you think about the defensive effort, Steph?
There wasn't any. There was no resistance. Like you said, the lanes were wide open. The rotations, first of all, the person was getting beat, so we were in rotation pretty much all the time, and the rotations were slow and late. And when you're in rotation, you're out of rebounding position, sometimes, and that probably had a lot to do with us not getting those closing out the possession, and they were getting second opportunities, and they made a conscious effort to crash the boards. They knew that they needed to win the rebounding battle, and they knew they needed to keep the Knicks, off the offensive boards. And you know, it's basically offensive rebounding is basically I Heart and Hart. Look at that. Wow.
Oh, you
It's
see
basically
that?
iHeart and Heart. And now Heart is hurt. It's just iHeart getting us, or trying to get us second chance opportunities. So
Yeah. It's just one of those games that, you just wish it didn't happen in a potential closeout game. This is something that happened early in the series. Okay, maybe but this level of effort and all of these things happening is definitely not a good look. And now you got to go into a game 7.
anything
And you
can
don't anything can happen, and you don't take advantage of much needed rest that you would have been afforded, at least had you gotten out of this game with a victory.
happen.
Looking at the box score, guys, Dante DiVincenzo finished with 17 points, 6 of 14 shooting, 42% from the field. Then Josh Hart, we know he was hobbled, only added 5 points. Miles McBride chipped in 20. Precious Achua chipped in 12. Alec Burks chipped in 11. And then in the end, Brunson started to get some better touches. He was still getting looks. He was getting looks all game, but the shots weren't falling. But towards the end, in the late third, going into the fourth, he started knocking down shots and wound up finishing with 31 points. Yeah, it's tough, man.
But
Tough.
Brunson Oh, go ahead, John.
no, I mean it's. I mean, look at that minus. What is it? Minus 11. What is he? Minus 11.
Yeah,
Mostly,
yeah,
yeah.
minus 11.
Mostly in the first half is like the style of play did not. It all really happened in the first half of Brunson. You know what I mean? I think he tried to pick it up in the second half, but again, a little too late. At
And
that
look at
point,
the
we were
support
sort of
he
out
got.
of it. Say that one more time.
Look at the support he got. He shows up. You getting 12 from Precious. You getting 11 from Burks. You getting 20 from McBride. I'm not going to say sure. He has a more efficient game, and he knocks down some of those chippies.
Hmm.
And that's actually how I was feeling, Steph. Once we got to the end of the first half, we were down 10, I believe, and Brunson had 5 points.
Right.
I was like, so you mean to tell me we're down 10? They haven't, like, Indiana was scoring, but they weren't scoring in the way they were scoring in game 4. Like the game 4, they looked unstoppable. But it was just a regular basketball game. They were working for everything, and they just created a little bit more opportunities for themselves. But us being down 10 and Brunson only having 5 points when he normally has much more going into the second half, I was feeling confident.
So was
But
I.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
couldn't put it out the
it
line.
came down to the lack of defense, and they made Nimhart, like Nimhart broke down the defense often, like especially in the first half. Like he was, I wouldn't say he was cooking, but he was making the Pacers offense work efficiently because he was getting into the middle of the paint. He was breaking down his defender. He was getting by his defender and making the secondary pass to an open Siakam or Turner or for that matter, what's I don't know, how am I forgetting the point guard standard we're against?
Halliburton.
Halliburton, yeah, like he was, being able to be that facilitator that they need, and he bit key shots early in the first half. Nemhart got it going early, and it's weird because it's like you let a player like that control the game when he shouldn't be that player that affects the game to that extent. You know what I mean? Like that's somebody you should be able to contain.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a just looking at these numbers, they had 6 guys in double figures led by Siakam, but if you look at this, you say Halliburton only had 15 points. You feel good about that in a
Right.
situation like that's yeah,
Right.
but when you get 11 and from OB and TJ McConnell gives you 15, and then Andrew Nimhard, who hasn't really added that much scoring, gives you 15. It adds up, and you start to that's the reason for a little bit of the lead that they started to develop, in which it started to spiral once the
It looks
Knicks
like they
really
had like
couldn't buy
6
basketball.
players. Did they have 6
Yeah,
players double figures?
it's 6. It's 6.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's too much.
And Neesmith
Way too
was
much.
that an 8 or a 9?
He
Neesmith
had 8.
8.
He
Okay.
had 8. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, this was just, chalk it up to. I mean, we got to give credit where credit is due, as what Steph was saying. Like Indiana actually came out, they made an adjustment, and it worked in their favor. Just the fact alone that they out rebound us says a lot. But in the style of play that they tried to do, and even though we go back to the defense and how many easy opportunities they got, the Knicks actually shot better than Indiana from three. I think Indiana shot 34% and the Knicks shot 38% from three.
Right.
But the Knicks shot 43% from the field and Indiana shot 53% from the field.
Right.
So
And we had less attempts because they had more attempts.
and less attempts, of course. Yeah.
I was about to say, look how many they took 91 shots. We took 80 some odd shots.
82.
82.
Yeah.
No resistance. Obi or dropping from the top of the key for a slam. Like no resistance.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't quite understand why we were chasing Obi away from the three. Like, in fact, you want him to shoot the three more times than not. Like, you know what I mean? You would prefer him not to get to the basket. And it seems like we were diving too hard for him to move from that 3-point line. I would rather contain him at the three, and if he beats you from the three, then hey, more power to him.
Yeah, I that makes sense. I agree with that too. Shout out to the Knicks realist. What's up, Noah? Appreciate the generous super chat. He said, "Burn the film. Pacers 1-5 on 1-5. Oh, 1-5 on the road. This postseason, Knicks got to have short-term memory and put it behind them." Yeah, I mean, listen, unfortunately, it's one of the things that I don't quite understand, but it is what it is. For whatever reason, the Pacers have not lost in their arena. So it's one of those home team types. So the Knicks have to win at home, obviously. But it's still a kind of like at a certain point, do you worry about the Knicks psyche as a team? Because they've been through a lot of adversity. They've, next man up mentality and all this stuff.
Mhm.
But then you start to see, okay, Brunson got hurt, but he was able to play, and then now he's starting to look a little better. Maybe he's healed up a little bit. But now Josh Hart goes down, and you're like, oh man, like what's happening? What's next? And I will say the other thing that really worries me about Josh Hart injury is, you take for granted, we talk about it all the time, but Josh Hart is a really integral piece to how the Knicks move, whether it be offense or defense. His effort on defense, his hustle, but more importantly, it's the rebounding. I'm looking at these guys out there and I'm like, okay, Josh can't really jump and do what he normally does to get rebounds, but no one else is doing it.
Right.
Like it seems, and Hartenstein finally stepped up and started getting more rebounds in the fourth quarter. But at that point, we're already down so many points. I was looking for Precious maybe to step up and kind of force his way into the paint and be a little bit more active, maybe get a loose ball foul, whatever it is, but at least be a little bit more active. There was one point where Josh was hurt and just laboring out there. He was still in the game at this point. And they were taking him out. And then I said, let me just take a look at the rebounds. He had 8 rebounds and Precious had 5 and Hartenstein had 5. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. We have to. I mean, we haven't been great, with our starts. But again, the energy has to be there from the. Yeah. I didn't get it. I just didn't get the lack of energy.
Oh boy. Okay.
The craziest part for me is that Kibbs kept, during the timeouts they were showing, that Tibbs kept speaking about their energy. He kept saying, hey, fight through this, push, go on a run. He kept insisting that they weren't playing hard enough. And for whatever reason, it wasn't clicking. And I think part of it had to do with Josh Hart not being able to be that level of energy for the team. I think he may be the motor that sort of gets the team going. You know what I mean? Like he may be that person who comes in with that edge, and because he was laboring, the team couldn't really find that rhythm. There were moments where I see, of course, Deuce tried his best to get us going, but it just wasn't enough.
When did Hart get hurt? Was it the first or second quarter?
First
The
quarter.
first quarter. Yeah.
It seemed like we still didn't have the energy even before that.
Right.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know?
But to that kind of, once again, it draws me to that point of how important Josh Hart is, because Josh Hart may also be a catalyst. Like maybe, and not just this game, maybe there's been games where I would have to really pay attention to that. But I kind of feel like that's not far fetched, that even sometimes where maybe the Knicks are a little lethargic out there, that Josh's effort and energy gets the rest of the guys going, and they start to, you start to kind of get it together. And he could not give you that. So that didn't help.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even see no one on the team. Like,
Mhm.
even in the huddles, like, yo, we got to get it together. Like, what we doing? Clapping it up. Yo, we got to, no anger, no emotion, no nothing from anybody.
Yep. That's what
Yeah.
worries me the most about a game 7. Is because if you have to work that hard to get motivated for a game like a game like this where you can close them out early and then have to deal with it, it concerns me a bit because if for whatever reason they aren't shooting the ball well to start the game, we're in trouble. We're in trouble because it's not going to be easy to come back from a deficit in a final game of a 7-game series. Just
Yeah.
isn't.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I didn't like. I did not. This is like the one thing I did not want to see, because, to your point, John, the Knicks, um, they still are in essence a jump shooting team, and when you live and die by that, you just don't know what you're going to get. The Knicks could just be straight up cold on Sunday, and I don't know what they're going to do in that situation. But listen, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that they're going to realize that, just like a lot of teams haven't been able to beat Indiana in their home building, Indiana hasn't been able to beat the Knicks in their home building. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Good point, Ron, real quick.
mhm,
When we don't shoot well, what helps us is those second chance opportunities. So we have
mhm.
a backup, um, and will Hart be able to help us with that? What's Hartenstein's energy going to be like? His energy was fabulous in game 5, not so much in game 6. So if we're not knocking down shots, then we have to get second chance opportunities, and we can't give them second chance opportunities. So our defense has to be better, and we have to make sure we end those their offensive possessions with a defensive rebound.
Right.
Um, yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: how do you feel about and I'm totally understand why he hasn't been in the mix for the Knicks, but it's now knowing that you got a banged up heart, whatever, who knows if he'll be ready to go, or even give us what we're used to seeing from him on Sunday. How do you feel about Jericho Sims being back into the rotation? Because I just feel like the Knicks need some type of toughness or some type of presence out there. Um, and I feel like also, I think like that that two-pronged monster that they got going on between Siakam and Miles Turner, with him being able to stretch the floor, and then if we double team Siakam, he can just flash to the rim. That's very difficult when you don't got the size to combat it. We've gone small for different reasons, but obviously tonight that didn't really work that well. What do you think about that, John? About you know uh, seeing the guy with the big hair?
I just don't know if he would be effective enough. I think at this point in the season, like we would have seen it already. And I don't think he's had enough moments, especially to close out the season, like the last 2 months of the season, to be able to like work effectively within an offense, within a defensive role. I haven't seen enough to say whether it's good or bad. I would lean more to it most likely wouldn't be effective. Um,
Mm,
just because we haven't seen it. Um, so you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right approach. I think we gotta hope that whatever is occurring with Hart isn't that serious, and that he comes back and we could play this out. And if we get lucky and Anunoby is available to play, that he plays, because we're gonna need all hands on deck. It's game 7. It's play or go home.
This is like the worst case scenario. I was hoping that, I mean, I said it as soon as OG went down. I was like, worst comes to worst, and we go to a game 7, then if he can play it, he should be out there. But I didn't really want to see that. I don't, because it's like you put yourself in a position where maybe he's able to come out there and give you something and get through the game.
Right.
But then you may lose him for the rest of the playoffs. Like,
but that's the
We
point.
may not even have him. They might not be a
You don't
rest.
have a playoff, right?
It's true. It's true.
So
It's true.
you play to win regardless. Like, you play to win, and if he isn't able to go further throughout the rest of the playoffs, we still got further than we expected.
True.
Well,
You know what I mean?
true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the point is that we get to the championship game in the year. The Eastern Conference championship game, and then everything else is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to answer your question about Sims.
Hmm.
When I think of presence, I don't think about Sims. I don't think about him when I think about presence. And I think the other thing with Sims is we got a lot of Sims on, like we got Precious Achua, and by that meaning like guys who are gonna play defense and rebound for you, but they're not gonna score for you. And
Hmm.
Indiana doesn't have to pay attention to them. So
Right.
you got Sims and Achua in the game. They're playing 5-on-3.
3. Yep.
You know what I mean? So to me, Sims is a duplication of Achua. You're gonna play one or the other. We don't have, and then you have Josh Hart. Even when he is healthy, he's a wild card. Sometimes he's aggressive and the ball swings to him and he lets it fly, or he drives, and then there's other times the ball comes to him and it's like
He's waiting to pass the ball.
yeah.
He's looking around to make the extra pass, and I'm like, lane is wide open.
Other than
Attempt,
Brunson,
at the very least, attempt.
right?
You know?
Other than Brunson, who's putting a lot of pressure on them? Brunson and McBride, consistent pressure offensively. Now Burks also is somebody they have to tend to. Other than that, who do they have to really tend to on the Knicks?
That's true.
And then when you go Burks, there's a defensive struggle there, right? Because the other team is going to effectively put him in a pick and roll. And between him and Brunson, now pick your poison, and DiVincenzo is constantly over pursuing, just because that's part of his game, right? It's effective when it works, not so when it doesn't. So
Right. Yeah. Shout out to the art man formerly known as Steve. What's going on, brother? He thank you for the generous super chat. He says Dante Deuce put up points. What doomed us is Brunson's terrible first half, 2 for 13, 15%, and he went away from the quick decisions off the double, finally missed free throws. Knicks win next game. Yeah, man. From your lips to the basketball god's ears, I hope that is the case. One of the things that I always say with regards to the Knicks is if they just play their style of game,
Right.
they can beat anybody. They have a chance. But their style of game starts with effort. If the Knicks don't have the effort, then I mean, what are we doing here? Like you can't get outworked by a team that really shouldn't be outworking you. Like what we do, what we are based on, I say we, but what the Knicks do is the stuff that you shouldn't, nobody else can outdo you if they're not equipped to do it. Like I don't know how the Indiana has out rebounded the Knicks twice in this series, and I don't know if it's been more than that, but I definitely know it's been twice, 2 different games. So I was like, that's to me is an indictment on guys just not really understanding. If there's one thing we got to do, it's continue to get these rebounds and show give ourselves more opportunities, because we know one thing is true, though it's still the case, even though the Knicks are a better shooting team, they don't really shoot it like Indiana shoots it. On a general basis, Indiana's good shooters. So you got to continue to give yourself more opportunities to get up shots.
Yeah,
It's disappointing.
It is, but this is the thing with the rebounding, though. If you're in rotation, like I said earlier, you're going to be out of position.
Hmm.
The only people we really have to get the rebounds for us, if they're not long, is Hart and Hartenstein. You know, when Precious is in there, he'll get rebounds as well. But I don't think we have a lot of. You don't know, when OG was there, he would cross the ball. We got to go all the way back when Randall was. We don't have a lot of guys that can really rebound for us. When we're at our most successful, Josh Hart is getting 11, 14, 18, 16 rebounds. You know, if he's not doing that, now it's Hartenstein, excuse me, by himself trying to hold it down. He's playing Turner, so sometimes he has to be out the key, as well. Um, yeah, yeah,
Not to
It's
mention we're an undersized team. You know, when you look
and we're
at the
undersized.
rosters and how we built, you know, we're undersized at this moment in time because of all the injuries. We're undersized. So, you know, I also want to go on record and say that part of the way the Knicks coming out being lethargic, I think, is because they're tuning into the ESPN pregame, and you
Mm,
know, our guy Smith is on the air way too long, talking acts if he's a real Knick fan, and I think part of that is causing this. He's kind of like he might be a new, you know, what they call that, the a bad omen. You
mm,
know what I'm saying?
mm,
Like he just, I'm like, we got to tune in to ESPN because we can't watch anything else, and he's just constantly talking and talking. It's like
yeah,
it's too much. It's too
I
much.
mean, what bothers me a little bit is the way in which you get blown out by the Pacers. And mind you, the Pacers had everything that possibly could happen go right in that game. And then you come back and you make, to your point, John, that you said on SKF Weekly, that the Knicks needed a statement game. And that was a
And we did
statement
it.
game. It was even better than I thought. I thought the Knicks were going to win the game. And I thought maybe they'd have a nice, 10-point victory or something. But they blew them out the same fashion in which they got blown out. And that is a hell of a statement.
right.
But and then people pointed to the fact that at the end of the game, you see that guys walking on the court. Brunson's got no smile. Hartenstein's not smiling. Josh Hart's not smiling. Look like they're all business. They understand the assignment. Now it's time to get this done.
Right.
And I'm just still mind boggles me the fact that you
Laid
just
an
did
egg.
not see that. You didn't see that when they came out for this game. And to me, that's that. I don't know how you can. I don't understand it. I don't know what makes that happen. I know there might be other factors. Knicks are full of haters, right? There's always people counting them out, and I think they're used to it. I think that fuels them. I still don't understand why we came out flat in this game, a closeout game at that.
At that.
Um,
Part of
yeah,
it, the narrative changed too. After that blowout game, the narrative across all social media platforms and corporate platforms was Game 6. For the most part, everyone
mm.
had the Knicks winning in Game 6. They felt as if that statement win pretty much took the life
Like
out of the
the life out
Pacers,
of them. Yeah,
the
out
air.
of the
You know
pace.
what I mean? And the Pacers used it as motivation. Which is great to see. You know, as a young team, so uh, you know, you would hope that a team looks at that and carries that with them and has that as motivation. But the Knicks need to learn how to close out games.
But
That's something we need to learn.
even if you don't win the game, John, you got to show up. Like
Show up,
if it
right?
was like Game 3, where we
Yeah.
matched their energy and it was blow for blow, and they made their run, and then we came
Mhm.
back and made our run, and it went down to crunch time, and the more desperate team pulls it out, you can respect that. This
Absolutely. Yeah.
That
though,
was another thing I didn't like about this game, Steph, is that now that you look
These
at
are
the
bad
last
taste
three
in your mouth.
games. Well, every game has been a blowout. These last three
Yeah.
games is a blowout. Like
Right.
I could say that I felt like the Knicks were going to win this game, but there's a chance that Indiana could win. But what I never thought was going to happen is that this game wasn't going to be close. I thought by the
Right.
time the fourth quarter happened, this was going to be a close game, and just whoever got the final run was going to
right,
win it. I
right.
didn't think we were going to be losing by 20 points.
Yeah. But how close did we get it in the fourth? Was it down to 11 at some point?
Not in the
I
fourth.
don't know.
Not
Maybe
in the fourth.
12, maybe in the
I think it
fourth.
was
The fourth,
No,
I
not in
think.
the fourth.
It wasn't. I
Mm-mm.
thought it was,
Mm-mm.
or maybe 14.
It
Might have been.
we started the fourth down 16. Oh, down 13. Down
Right, and then
13, I
it
believe.
ballooned to 20.
But
Yeah.
I think
I
we
think it
did
was like
to 20. I think we
14.
did cut into it a little bit, but every
We
time we
did.
cut into it, they would make a shot on the other end, or they
Yeah,
would get a key offensive rebound and make the shot and push the lead back
right,
up. We were trading, you know, trading baskets. Like,
right.
yeah,
We got it down to 12. Yeah, we
got it
did
down
get
to
it down to
12.
Oh, was
12
it
or
12?
13,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah, and then they, like you said, they just end up coming back and hitting a couple of shots. And again, we had just bad timing with the turnovers too. It's like got to take care of the ball. I think that Hartenstein pass, he tried to
Yeah, it's like what?
push that through, and that was just like a
Yeah,
horrible pass, and these
That
two.
wasn't a good pass. But even at that point, even I think now I remember when we did get it down to 12, the clock, there wasn't a lot of time left on the clock, maybe 4 minutes or so, something like that around there.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, that it's just just a bad it leaves a bad taste in your mouth about what took place, and it just gives them a little bit more life, gives them a little bit more fight, like, you know what, we
it
still,
gives
but
them
I
an
look
edge.
at it, it gives them a little bit of, yeah, it gives them a little, but my whole thing is, not to sound like a complainer, but when it's justified, it's justified. It just still goes back to the fact that the Knicks have been doing some remarkable, making remarkable things happen
yeah,
considering all of the injuries.
right. That's
Like, a
true.
lot of teams would not even be able to be in this position, even to
Correct.
be up 3-2 in
Correct.
a second round of a playoff series with all these guys out.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
yeah,
It goes back to sort of how they think, right? Like when you listen to Brunson talk, and he's just like, whether you get beat by 30 or you get beat by 2, it's one game. That's
mhm.
how they see it. That's how their mentality is. So I don't think they'll take this effort with them in the next game. I think at this point, but this is where I say, like, it's all hands on deck, right? Like at this point, it's like whoever can play,
well played.
meaning would play, meaning
Yeah.
the guys that Tibbs expect, sees as sees in high regard. I'm not
Right.
saying that the 12th man on the bench is going to see any playing time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the guys that he's been relying upon throughout the season and are
Right.
key members of this team. If they're available to play, they'll play.
I can't see Hart not playing.
Yeah,
Like if the rib is like if he has broken ribs or something, something like that, I can't see him not playing, take a
Yeah, I
shot,
definitely think he'll be
wrap
out there
it up,
somehow.
and
stay away from them impossible burgers. Heavy
Yeah.
on the onion. Onion's not good for the heartburn and all of that.
you know,
Shout out to Marvin's perspective from the other side. He says rebounding has been the key to this series, guys. Every win,
So
the team has out rebounded its opponent. Rebounding is key in every game. 3-3. Yeah.
we
yeah,
spoke about it.
yeah. I mean, the guards may have to get in there, um, and rebound as well.
Did Brunson even attempt? Maybe he attempted one charge.
Mm-hmm.
He attempted
Yeah,
one,
he
and it
was
was
just a
caught.
little slow. He was a
It
little
was a little
slow,
slow,
just
but
a
that
little
was
bit.
the one and only. And I didn't see Deuce take any charges. I didn't see anyone.
That was his
put
second
their
one. One was successful, and that one wasn't. He got called for a
Oh,
block. He had one other
Gen-
charge in the game.
generally you would see most of the guards getting in the way of
Right.
the players that are diving to the basket or trying to penetrate, and I didn't really catch that this
well,
this go
that
round.
Yeah.
that goes back to the defense that we're talking about. How there was too many lanes open. Guys were just getting whatever they want, running straight through the lane. And you also, it's only 15 points, but it's not about the 15 points. It's about the activity, the type of activity they allowed Nimhard to get. A guy who hasn't been really a big factor, but that just opens up other things. If you're letting Nimhard
Mhm.
get it going,
And
these other
early
guys that you got to worry about are they're lurking around the perimeter. It
and
just makes it
early
more
because
difficult.
he started early, and then that became like the chasing game because every time he
Right.
penetrated and he kicked out, we're like chasing them out off of the 3-point line, and they're just driving right back in. It's just it felt like a rotating door. Like it just kept seeing, like we were just a step slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But
So
rest though, they had an extra day rest. You would expect there would be a little more pep in the step.
yeah, I agree with that. Right? That's a good point. You would think that that would have helped a little bit,
I thought it
but
would.
it just didn't. It
So it
didn't.
goes against everything we all say. Guess they don't need no rest. Everyone say we need rest because I guess not. So we'll see.
I'm
Did we
pretty
play? We
confident.
did get rest the last time around, though, right? When we got the when we did the blowout, did we had like 2 days rest for that one?
No, mm-mm.
No.
It was
No,
every other. That was still every other day.
I
So
was still
the
every.
Knicks just came out. Yeah,
Between you
I
mean
thought we had
between
an
4 and
extra.
5?
between four
Yeah,
and five. That was
That was
one
a
day
Sunday
in between.
Tuesday. Yeah, that was a Sunday
Yeah.
Tuesday game. Yeah.
yeah. Look at that.
So yeah, I mean, you can't. You don't. There's no rhyme or
Can't
reason. It
call
doesn't
it.
make sense.
Yeah, I can't
You
call it.
can't call
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so I mean, now that we know what it is, right? And shout out. I see the chat. There's people talking about Brunson. Brunson played well. Brunson, you know, and I know that he basically played like Brunson always plays. Bottom line is a lot of the shots weren't falling, and they were doing a really good job of making him work
Yes,
for
they were.
everything out there. But one of the things that I did notice, I felt like, and I could be reading too much into it. I did feel like there was a certain point. I think it was in the third quarter where Brunson was calling his number, but nothing else was working. But
Mhm.
Brunson was calling his number a lot, and I think even DiVincenzo might have gotten a little frustrated because when the ball actually did find him, he took a terrible shot. Like he forced the issue. He got the ball and dribbled all the way into the paint area and just threw something up. Maybe it was an effort to get fouled, but it just felt like somehow I don't know. I know I keep harping on it, but there's somehow the Knicks have to do a better job of getting other guys involved in the offensive flow of the game. Um, I don't know. It's tough, but so go. That being said, what do you guys think is the biggest things that we need to do in order to secure a victory in Game 7? Steph, what's your thoughts?
Brunson has to play well. Um, his floor game has to be really tight. We have to rebound the ball. Brunson, energy, defense, rebound.
Mm, hmm
You ain't even got to
yeah,
come to me for that's exactly what I was going to say. That's exactly it. We
yeah,
don't have none of those things. We're not winning. So like
Yeah.
that, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to see that Game 7. The energy is going to be crazy. It's going to be electric in the Garden. The stars are going to be out. It's extra TV time for everyone. The biggest stage, and this is where the stars come out. So Brunson got to be that star.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm.
And I think he'll
uh,
get support from, he's at home, so hopefully the support that he got tonight, when we was looking at the box score from Precious 12, McBride 20, Burks 11, he shows up, we get that support. I think we're going to be good. Um, Hart, even if he's not 100%, maybe at home we can get away with it. Um, but other guys are gonna have to get in there and get those rebounds. They can't beat us on the board. That's what's scary about Game 7. Anything can happen. You can get
Anything,
into
yeah.
foul trouble. You somebody could get injured. So much can happen in a Game 7. But here we are.
I say this though,
yeah,
we have Starks. He's ready. Starks looks ready. You see Starks, he be going at McConnell heavy. So you're gonna see a lot more of that, I'm sure.
yeah. I'm with you, Jarrell. Yeah, but it's going to have to be what John and Steph said. We need defense, we need the rebounding, and we need Brunson. But I would expect nothing, less than that. I mean, I would expect we're going to see Brunson go Brunson in this Game 7. He's going to try everything he can to will us to victory. But being that that's the case, and Indiana knows that that's the case, like this is you now. You comes down to one game. We got one game. We know what you're going to do. We're going to try to do everything in our power to stop Jalen Brunson. Do you think that the Knicks and Jalen Brunson should make a concerted effort to get other guys going, at least in the first quarter, to kind of get a semblance of some offense going, get these guys with some good touches, so that they're a little bit more comfortable going forward in different spots throughout the rest of the game, or should he just attack the way he's normally attacked?
Yeah, I wouldn't change up my approach. Um,
Mhm.
they would have to force me to change it up, and they will. They will. He's going to get a lot of attention. And so he has to do a better job getting the ball out of his hands, finding that open guy, right? The as Tibbs always say, the game is going to tell you what to do. You
Mhm.
know, like you said, you can't bouncy. You get in the lane, you make your quick moves. They rotate to you. You pass it to the open guy, and then that guy, depending on their rotations, you either take it or you move it. You
Right.
know, but I do think Indiana had a lot to do with how our offense ran. Like they
Yeah.
were up into us, and they took a lot of things um, away. Um, yeah, 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 yeah. So no, I wouldn't change up the approach. They would have to make me um make changes, and they will. They're gonna double team him. He has to get the ball out of his hands.
Right. Right. John?
Yeah. See the blitzes before they come. It's really what it's about. It's about, just seeing the game and not over dribbling. You don't over dribble. You see the game for what it is, and you make the right decision, you make the right pass, the right cut. Get into the flow of the game early.
Right.
I don't want to see us getting into our sets due to ball pressure late in the shot clock. Like we should. There's no reason for that when we've shown other ways of getting around that by not having Brunson bring the ball up. Just
Mhm.
have Hart or DiVincenzo bring the ball up and
Right.
work off of those curls. And
Right.
roll around those screens and get the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I see the chat is on fire. People are going back and
They
forth.
they
We
can
got
also
we
work some back cuts too. Like think about it. Every time Brunson's going over the top for the ball. Just every now and then, fake going over the top and cut back, to behind the
Yeah.
defender and have an open shot layup. I think we've seen it once today, but he can do it more often because they're over pursuing him, to get the ball from the assigned, the person who's holding him is 9 times out of 10 is like Hartenstein is holding the ball up at the
Right.
key.
And we got to be quicker to take advantage of. They're blitzing him sometimes real early, like right over half court. They're blitzing him early. We got to do a better job. Get that ball
Hmm.
to Hartenstein at the free throw line, or maybe even the 3-point line, being how they're playing him. Turn, get some cutters. You score a few baskets, that's gonna stop.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's
True.
exactly what I mean. Hmm.
Shout out to LV Sure. Come on, man. You got a Nick hat. You're a Nick fan. If you follow this Nick team, you know that it's never over with this Nick team.
Right.
So I definitely wouldn't be thinking about that going into a game 7, knowing how the Knicks are so up and down. I call them the Jekyll and Hyde Knicks.
Right.
John calls them the what do you call them?
What? Nah, I forget. the I forget what
Man,
the term I
nah, I
use.
forgot myself.
But
But
Jekyll and Hyde is
yeah, I mean,
cardiac mix. Yeah.
cardiac Knicks, that's it. Like they're up and down. Like you know what they do. They never make anything easy, and sometimes I guess that plays into their character, to the who they are as people. They like to have their back against the wall sometimes and come out on top. So it stinks, but we're here, and now they have to do that. So
Yeah.
we can hope for the
Listen,
best. So don't
it's
give
a
up
great
yet,
story.
LV.
The end of the day, it's a great storyline for the NBA.
Yeah, we've already exceeded expectations. I just want to get to that Eastern Conference Finals.
That is so
That that's
so
what that's exactly what I want. I just want to um, you know, have it be a situation where um, throughout everything, because that's what's going to be the storyline at the end of it. Even if the Knicks get past Indiana in Game 7, get to Eastern Conference Finals, and we can't really do enough to deal with Boston because we're hobbled, and Boston is pretty much outside of them not having Porzingis. They're pretty much the same team. Then you could say, man, all these injuries, all of this stuff still made it to ECF, shows progression, and it shows the stones and the metal of this team. I think that's a great look.
Yeah, no doubt. It looks good already, but the East getting to the Eastern Conference finals, Eastern Conference final, you don't have to explain as much. With this Knick community, we don't get to the Eastern Conference finals. Some people are gonna see it and be like, regardless, what they were able to do is amazing. And other Knick fans are not gonna be able to see that. You know what I mean? We get to the Eastern Conference finals, we don't have to have this explanation battles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pretty much everybody will see it.
Right. Shout out to my number one hater, Paul Mihir, in the chat. I could just mute you or block you and not allow you to get any of your comments out there, but the floor is also there for you as well. So appreciate you. Thank you for being here and tuning in and supporting the show. Today we talked about basketball. Last time you were on the show, we were talking about hip hop. You didn't have to be in that show, but you were there. So appreciate you.
He tuned into the hip hop discussion.
Yeah, and he got upset because I called Drake hip hop, so he just wasn't dealing with it.
Because Drake sings a lot, that's why.
That's right, but it's okay. We were talking about a battle, so it is what it is.
Right.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in. I know that things don't look the greatest, but just understand that the Knicks team has fought through everything, all types of levels of adversity, and in the end, it's worked out. So don't give up on this team as of yet. Understand that they're going to fight the way we think they're going to fight, and we should be fighting as well, honoring them and what they do and giving them the support that they need, because that's going to be very important when it goes back to the Garden on Sunday. The people in attendance are going to need to stand up and show the Knicks a lot of support and love, and that's going to fuel them, because sometimes you don't have it, and that extra effort and love by the fans gives you what you need to get through. That's going to energize these guys.
Yeah.
So
I think we win games. Not even think we win Game 7.
I agree. So let me just get you guys final words. I know it's late one, but we appreciate everybody being here and rocking. Shout out to the Podfather Simeon Russell for allowing us to hold it down while he's out. John, start with you. Final words.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to Game 7. I think we take Game 7. I think the energy, like I said earlier, is going to be electric, and I think we're going to do exactly what we need to do, and that's take care of business. And then we're off to the Eastern Conference Finals. Looking forward to it.
I'm with you, brother. I'm right there with you, Steph. You already said that you feel like we win in Game 7. But any other final words? And
yeah, I think this Knicks team always responds. They have a lot of heart, pun intended, and I can't imagine them coming out flat Sunday. I can't imagine it. If they come out with the energy that we know that they have, we win this game. And I think like you said, Ron, to your point, the energy of the fans is going to help. The energy of the Garden is going to help. But at the end of the day, they got to use that energy to get those rebounds. They got to use that energy to get up, and play, and play good defense. I can't imagine us not winning Game 7. I just can't imagine that happening. I know it's possible. But I can't imagine it. The Knicks win, and I think they're going to pull away, and I think they're going to win by more than 12 points. I don't think it's going to be close.
I like it. Shout out to Anna Grill. Yeah, where did Obi get that left hand dribble drive? It hurts to see him excel, but screw him too. When we were talking about it as we were watching on playback, I was like, Obi's like, a baseball game where your team is down by 8 runs and he hits a solo home run. That's what Obi was doing. It just felt like, okay, all right.
And then he hits the gritty.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, keep believing. Don't give up. We need to continue to do what we got to do to support the team, and they're gonna support us for it. They're gonna reward us with a victory, getting us to the ECF, and we'll have a little bit more Knick basketball to talk about. I feel very confident in that.
Yeah,
So
let me just do a little Knick coach. Let's do some Knick fan coaching. We had a tough loss tonight as Knick fans. Our energy is down a little bit. We're gonna go to sleep tonight. We're going to sleep on this. We're going to get up in the morning. We're going to have our coffee, our tea, our mushroom coffee, whatever it is. And as fans, we got to turn it around. That's what Tibbs is saying in the locker room. This wasn't a great win for us. We got to get over it. We got to be ready by tomorrow. Same thing for Knick fans. You got till 10 a.m. tomorrow morning to get over this, get our energy up. When I look on Twitter after 10, I don't want to hear nothing about this game. I want to hear us pumped up and ready for game 6. And not just the energy of the Garden, the energy of New York City, New York State. I want to be on fire Sunday. So whatever you got to do Saturday to get your energy back up, do it. So by the time tip off 3:30, we ready to rock as fans.
And that leads to a great segue, Ron, because we don't know the ledge.
That's exactly what I'm gonna say, because as Steph said, by 10 a.m. y'all should be good. But if y'all not good and y'all forgot what we talked about tonight, and at 11:30 tomorrow morning, know the ledge. I will be on to talk y'all off the ledge once again. Please tune in and show some love. But we're gonna be all right, Knick fans. We've been through a lot. Everybody counts us out, and they continue to count us out. Even after we put up those numbers in that game 5, they still didn't think we could do anything in this series because they hate us. But that's okay. We rise through all the hate. Anyway, thank you guys once again for being here and rock with us. Have a great rest of your evening. Go New York, go New York, go. Don't give up, y'all. We here. We still got a chance. We still can make it. The road is never easy. So take it easy, y'all. We out. Catch y'all on the next one.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Knick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.